18 minutes past 8, so Thursday, that's tomorrow, the City of Johannesburg Council chambers are set to be a hive of activity as the race to elect outgoing Mayor Herman Mashaba's replacement gets underway. The race for the mayoral position will put the EFF, the DA and the ANC against each other in what promises to be a very intriguing clash. Yesterday, the EFF announced the party's regional chairperson, Musa Novella, as its candidate, whilst the DA will be fielding current financed MMC, Funzi Ngubeni. The ANC has yet to announce its candidate for the position. That's a day before Herman Mashaba is set to vacate office. Although there is word on Twitter that there is an ANC candidate that has thrown her hat actually into the arena. We've got Funzi Ngubeni in studio with us. Funzi, welcome. Good to have you here with us.
Thank you. Thank
ANC.
You so much.
So there is talk that the ANC has actually put a name forward, Lindiwe Maseko.
Yes, I saw the tweet. I think this morning that the ANC will call a caucus meeting to present their candidate to their caucus. I know she's not a councillor at the moment, so I'm not sure how they're going to handle it. But we're looking forward to tomorrow. It's an exciting day also for the city, and I think it's what is key is that we need to ensure that all of us, when we go into that chamber, that we put the interest of the resident of Johannesburg ahead of anything that we might be wishing for.
Look, I mean, it seems that you would be the likely person to come in and take over. I mean, especially being the MMC of finance for Johannesburg, it's an important role. However, very, very big shoes to fill. Are you up for the challenge to take over from where Herman Mashaba has left off?
Yes, indeed. I think Herman Mashaba has led this city exemplary. I think he has shown, what can be done if we put the political ideologies aside, if we put our interests aside, and we focus on delivering for the people. I think his leadership in the city will remain, one that will be remembered for a very long time. I've worked with him since 2016 when we came into government, and he elected me or chose me to be his MMC of development planning then. And later on, he asked me to go and serve as MMC of Finance, and his confidence in me and my work has really kept me motivated, and I'm honoured to have worked with him, to have learned from him, and I'm committed to continue with his legacy and the legacy of this DA coalition government, because it is through negotiations, it is through working together with our coalition partners and the EFF that we have managed to really make so much gains in the last 3 years, and we want to build on those successes so that we can be able to go to 2021, having at least made a difference in the life of the resident of Johannesburg.
Yeah, it's quite difficult because you speak about your coalition partners, and of course the EFF being one of them. They've now thrown in their candidate for that mayoral position, and that's going to put a big spanner in the works, because one would automatically assume that they would come out supporting you, but they're saying it's our turn to actually come in and be given a chance to be the mayor here in the city of Johannesburg. And so, with Musa Novella as their candidate, what do you think? What are your views?
Look, I think it was going to happen. I think I've been saying throughout my interviews that I've been doing in the past week that I'm expecting that EFF will put their candidate, because that's what they said in the press conference. I'm expecting that ANC will do the same, and it will eventually end up in council and have all of us having to vote for the right candidate. I'm confident that at the end, all of us will be able to put the resident of Johannesburg first and ensure that there is stability in the city. Because, Leanne, I think what is key for us as politicians is to think also about the officials of the city. They come to work every day, committed to make a difference in the life of our residents, and they cannot afford continued instability in the city. We need to, at some point, put our differences together, put our political ideologies aside, and focus on the work that needs to be done. We've got so much to do. We have agreed with the EFF. Councillor Novella has been part of the discussions that we've been having together with our coalition partners. We have worked very close together in coming up with a program that is still still needs to be finalized. We are going to budget now in adjustment budget in January 2020. Our last budget for this term is in May 2020. We believe that those two budgets are meant to build on the successes that we have achieved in the past, and be able to complete some of the projects that are still needs to be completed. The inner city rejuvenation program, we need to make sure that we take it to the end. We need to give more of those buildings into private sector for affordable housing. We need to electrify a lot of informal settlements, tar the road, but we also need to ensure that we focus on visible service delivery. It's important that we must stabilize our entities, pick it up, JRA. At the moment, we have a little bit of challenge with senior leadership in those entities that is not there, because some of them were fired because of allegations of corruption. We need to make sure that we find the right people and fill those positions so that we can be able to continue to deliver services to our residents.
Let's talk about senior positions, because the DA has also in itself had a very, very difficult time over the last month or so. I mean, we've seen Musi Maimane, your leader, leaving. We've seen Athol Trollip leaving. We've seen Herman Mashaba leaving. And at the center of all of this is a lady named Helen Ziller, that they are saying they don't believe that the DA is on the right page when it comes to bringing in transformation in South Africa and working to that same goal. What keeps you in the DA?
Look, I think at the foremost, I think we need to recognize that the election of Helen Ziller was a democratic process internally as a DA. She was elected by members of the Democratic Alliance, and she's the Federal Council Chair. We have now also, elected our interim leader, John Steenhuisen, and also the interim federal chair. These are internal processes of the DA that has unfolded with our democratic processes, and all of us need to respect that. But what is key, Joanne, about the Democratic Alliance is that we have recognized that there is a challenge in the DA, that the DA needs to be fixed, and that is why there was a review panel that was commissioned by Musi Maimane himself, which has now come up with a number of recommendations that we need to implement as members of the DA. As a regional chairperson of the DA in Johannesburg as well, I'm obligated, and it's my responsibility to ensure that the region, the branches in Johannesburg, also play their role in making sure that we fix our organization. We are going to a policy conference next year in April. We need to go there and debate policies, unpack some of the contradictions that we have seen in the public coming out from DA leaders. We need to be able to come out of that Congress with speaking in one word. And when we go to a federal Congress in May to elect the leadership, we need to elect the leadership that will be able to implement those policies and the direction that the city, the party will have given to itself. So the DA is I think, of course, it's like any other party will go through some challenges, but we are different from other parties in that we have assessed ourselves, we have looked ourselves in the mirror, we have identified some of the wrongs that we have committed, and now we have to fix them so that we can be able to move forward and ensure that we govern better wherever we govern.
Just finally, let's look at the maths of the voting that's going to take place. So we look at the 2016 municipal elections, the DA getting 38% of the vote, EFF 11%. That was your big coalition partner that enabled you to take over as mayors here in the city of Johannesburg. The ANC got 41%. So EFF have now got their candidate. They surely won't be voting with the DA. ANC throwing a name in as their candidate. They won't be voting with you. The smaller parties, I mean, with 38%, is it even possible that you can come in and take over? Have you spoken to other smaller parties? Are they voting with you? How are you expected to win this?
Yeah, sure. What has happened since my candidature was announced, the DA then chose a negotiation team of leaders that were responsible to go and engage with all the parties, and that team has engaged with our coalition partners. I did get a report that all our coalition partners are on board, and they will be coming to council to vote.
Except for the EFF, obviously.
Obviously, the EFF have put up their own candidates. So the way it will happen, based on the Municipal Structures Act, is that the three candidates will be put forward, and they'll be nominated on the floor, and election will take place. And the candidate that receives the less votes will then be put aside, and another election will will have to take place
Yeah.
out of the two candidates, and someone has to be elected. I think that is key because that is when EFF will have to make a decision. Because EFF candidate will probably be the one that receives the less votes, lesser than the two other candidates. And EFF will have to make a decision whether they want to give the government back to the ANC or they want to continue with us implementing the project that we have agreed with them to implement for this term. So it's a key question to them, and I hope they'll be able to answer it.
All right, well, we wait and see. This is all happening tomorrow, so let's see where these votes go. Funzi Ngubeni, who is the Democratic Alliance's mayoral candidate for the city of Johannesburg, a position that has been left vacant by Herman Mashaba. You heard him a little bit earlier on the program. He's the outgoing mayor. Today is his last day, and we'll see who takes over that position here in the city of Johannesburg. Funzi, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Leah.
It's an absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you so much.
All right, the time now just a couple of seconds before 8:30. Let's get your news headlines.